25 credit repair secrets. This is part 19, how to block items from your credit report. We are going to dive into the top ways that you can block accounts or even information from your credit report. My name is Credit Coach Nicole Scott. If you haven't by now, make sure that you have subscribed on YouTube and watched all of the 25 parts in this series where I'm talking about the top 25 credit repair secrets that nobody wants to share with you and everyone is totally willing to take your money for. But I'm giving you them for free. I am exposing the top 25 credit repair secrets for you to learn, my friend, and most importantly, apply the knowledge. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I don't give legal advice. This is for educational and informational purposes only, but information is the new gold. This is not something that is taught in high school, college. It is exclusively on YouTube University by yours truly, Credit Coach Nicole Scott. If you are interested in repairing your credit or even starting a credit repair business, you are in the right place. If you haven't by now, make sure that you have joined the credit community where we talk about this type of information and really get down into detail as to what's working, what's not working, and what's the latest and greatest. So let's go ahead and dive into the top ways that you can actually block, yes, block items from your credit report. So if you are working on your own credit and maybe you haven't had success with the credit repair company that you're working with, these are some of the strategies or items or ideas that you can use to repair your credit or help others. Number one is file a fraud claim. I know this might seem obvious, but if you were a victim of a car dealership, maybe you went to the car dealership and you said, hey, I'm interested in purchasing a car. I want to see what the numbers might look like. And they ran your credit 30 times without your permission. If you give an auto dealership permission to run your credit, that means that it's one time, just like if you were to apply for an auto loan from a bank, right? They're going to run your credit one time. Unfortunately, at the auto dealerships, you're going to walk away with 30, 40 inquiries across all three credit bureaus in some cases. And that's simply not fair and it's very fraudulent. You can actually file an FTC report or an other report saying that you did not give permission nor did you authorize the following inquiries on your credit report. And again, you have to sometimes send this in multiple times in order for you to get the results that you want. But you can also list out all of the different account information. Now, if we're dealing with inquiries in this sample, you want to list out the name of the inquiry, exactly how it is listed on your credit report, and the date of the inquiry. If it was February 11th, 2023, whatever the case may be, inquiries will stay on your credit report for 25 months. So it's about 2 years and a month for it to fall off organically, unless, of course, you dispute it. And no matter if you're shopping for a car or if you are using a shopping period, which, ultimately is not supposed to hurt your credit score, you still have a ton of inquiries which can lead to other credit denials. So you definitely want to clean up any inquiry that is not associated with an account on your credit report. So that way you don't have to get denied for other credit opportunities from their stupid mistakes. I wouldn't go as far as filing a police report about something like this, but if you have been a victim of identity theft, then of course you would want to file an online report with your local jurisdiction. And a lot of times it's not like a police officer is going to come out. You could potentially go into a police station and have your affidavit signed off by an officer. There are some pretty standard standard FT or affidavits out there for those of you that have been a victim of identity theft. Here's a sample of an identity theft victim's complaint and affidavit. This is a pretty standard one. And again, all of the links are inside of my guide here. And this is actually one of the links that's inside of there. So you can download this, fill it out, and actually take it to have it signed off by an officer. Any sort of officer can sign off on this. You don't have to get it signed off by an officer either. So if you go down to page 5 here, you'll see that this is basically like a law enforcement report. And you can have this signed off by any law enforcement officer, secretary, someone that works at the department. Okay, it can be pretty much anyone. You don't have to get it filled out. You can also have it notarized. But I like to try to get someone that, if you've truly been a victim, you definitely want to get this signed off, and you also want to get this notarized by a public notary. A lot of times you can get a notary done for free if you are a local member at a bank or credit union. The only thing is you just want to make sure that before you go down there, you verify the hours that the notary is there and see if an appointment is needed. Or you can simply just go to a UPS store. They only are about, I think, $15 for a notary nowadays, and just get copies of this made. You never want to send in the original copy of this because you're not going to get it back. So I always recommend have the UPS store scan this and send you a copy. They should be the last stop. So you want to fill this out completely, list out any and all information that you have, including any account numbers or account names, account numbers, inquiry names, inquiry dates, other wrong personal information, anything that you want to get cleaned up from your credit report, basically, that was, a result of that. Okay. And then you want to take it to get signed off by law enforcement, and you can have them simply just sign off here. You just need a few simple things, and then you also want to file an FTC report, and that is going to be on identitytheft.gov. This is identitytheft.gov, and this is just a government website where you can actually file reports if you have been a victim of an online crime or ID theft, or if you have things that are on your credit report that are a result of that are a result of you getting mixed up with somebody else or somebody else's identity being on your report. This is just a way for you to officially document the process and then send a copy of that into the credit bureaus and also the creditor or collection agency that is reporting that information on your report as well. And also you can send this into the Better Business Bureau. When and if the CFPB goes back in business, they can help you as well. Right now, they are going through a restructuring, so unfortunately, they're not in business right now, and I don't think anyone is actually processing the claims, but normally that would be part of the process, is filing this with the CFPB as well, but unfortunately, it's not an option right at this time, but hopefully in the near future, right? But this is where you would file it. They're going to give you a PDF file. You can either create an account or you can just check out as a guest. If you check out as a guest, you're not going to have a copy saved. So I actually have a video on how to file this FTC report inside of the 25 credit repair secrets playlist, which is tagged in the description below. So it gives you a full walkthrough on how to fill out that FTC report. All right. Next is going to be identity theft affidavit FCRA 605B. Same concept basically, but they have to block. The credit bureaus have to block information that was a result of identity theft, which is a lot quicker to get things removed from your credit report versus trying to say, hey, delete this. No, if you were a victim of identity theft, you have to request that they block the information, and you have to directly deal with the identity theft department. And sometimes if you become a member with Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax, you can get a dedicated dedicated identity theft protection agent to help you through the process and help you actually get things that were a result of identity theft removed or blocked, I should say, blocked from your credit report. So I highly recommend that sometimes you look at the cost of that and what that would be, because it's a really good investment. I know TransUnion has a department or a program that's actually new where you can actually sign up for the plan that offers the, identity theft protection, which is right here. It says right here, TransUnion Identity Protection, and you will get a dedicated restoration specialist to help you through the process. And of course, there is a cost for these programs, but it's well worth it because you're going to get results a lot quicker than trying to just go through the regular dispute process. You're also, like I said, any type you are dealing with identity theft, you're going to need this affidavit completed and notarized. You don't have to get it signed off by an officer, but it does need to be fully completed and notarized. And then you can make a copy and send it in to the credit bureaus and or the creditors that you need to. Initiate arbitration. Okay, this is a great way for you to get real results quickly and also earn yourself some money. So each violation that the credit bureaus make according to the FCRA law, and or if someone like the credit bureaus or a collection agency violates the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which is the FDCPA, if a violation occurs, that can mean that they would be liable to pay out $1,000 violation, up to $1,000 violation, plus damages and costs associated with bringing this whole thing to litigation or arbitration. So in some cases, you might say, hey, my damages equal $10,000 because of this, that, and the other. So punitive damages, emotional stress, all of those things can be considered damages. Now, if you are wanting an easy way, you don't want a lawyer, you don't want to deal with the fees associated with taking this whole thing to a state court or a federal court, because the filing fees alone for federal court are close to $1,000. The filing fees for arbitration are $225, and you can ask for reimbursement from that arbitration fees from the credit bureau. So it's a much easier and faster process, and arbitration can be done by the AAA. I've done a video about arbitration, and in your request for arbitration, you're going to request that they block these accounts from your credit report because maybe you were mixed up with somebody else, or maybe it's an error. Maybe you were a victim of identity theft, or maybe you've been mixed up with your older, brother or sister or whomever, maybe you're a junior, your dad's a senior, your profiles got mixed. You have to sometimes get really aggressive to get the results that you want. And oftentimes the whole thing is resolved before you actually get through to arbitration. Now, if you are planning to go through arbitration, I highly recommend that you watch the arbitration video and kind of follow the steps. I've actually put together a whole entire process on the arbitration inside of the credit community. So if you are a part of the credit community, you definitely want to go to the secrets here, and then you will get the entire layout, steps, sample letters, everything that you need to go through the arbitration process with either Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax. They all have an arbitration clause and process, and it can all be done through this, neutral third party that is called the arbitration places that you could potentially use. The most common one is ADR.com, which is the American Arbitration Association. They're probably the most common. Their fees are $225, and honestly, they're going to be my number one pick. This is actually who Experian recommends as well, but there's other arbitration services besides the AAA, and this is one of the others, which is called the JAMS, and they specialize in arbitration services, and they have a ton of arbitrators. So you can definitely check them out and look at some of their costs. And they specialize in consumer disputes. So basically, it is a very simple process, and all you have to do is just follow the steps. And you can actually make money by going through the arbitration process as well. Like, hell, if you made me go do this much, you're gonna freaking pay your violations, which is up to $1,000. I'm claiming $1,000 per violation, plus damages. Now, in my opinion, arbitration is usually kind of best for cases that are asking for less than $10,000. Now, you certainly can ask for more. You just have to be able to justify what you're asking for. And damages, I don't know what your damages are. Only you do. Sometimes damages can be millions of dollars. If you look at similar case law, you can understand. But if you are, just trying to get through this thing and you're trying to get, just a little bit of money and the results that you deserve, then hey, arbitration is great. And I'm not saying that you can't claim more than $10,000. I just said it's probably best and a lot faster if you are claiming less than $10,000. But hey, do what's best for you. And if you do need legal help, I have actually linked different lawyers inside of the community as well. And they're also inside of the guide. So you can search for consumer lawyers that are not going to charge you until they hear your case and you get results or they get paid. Okay. Next up is going to be freezing those secondary credit bureaus. Now, the final video of this 25-part series talks about freezing those third-party data furnishing companies like LexisNexis, SageStream, Innovis, CoreLogic, just to name a few. And you definitely want to deal with the root of the problem. Request a copy of your report from them, highlight the errors, inconsistencies, or whatever you have that is negative, and you can dispute that just like you would with the credit bureaus. You can take them through arbitration just like you would with anybody else because it's a consumer dispute and this is a consumer report. So go through that process just as you would with the credit bureaus. They still have to follow the Fair Credit Reporting Act as well because they are a consumer data furnishing company. Some of them will allow you to opt out, others will allow you to freeze, but make sure you keep record of all of that because oftentimes they provide you with a 5-digit or, some sort of PIN number that you're going to need if you need to opt back in, which I've actually had to opt back in. I was not able to get auto insurance until I unlocked my LexisNexis because they use the Clue report. LexisNexis is attached to so much data, insurance, police reports, you name it. They probably have more information on you than you have on you. But you can go directly to their website, request a copy of your report so you can get an idea of what information they're sharing. Even if you don't have any bad information, if you don't want them sharing your information without your knowledge, you can certainly freeze or opt out. But again, it might lead in some things being denied for you. It can also lead in not getting pre-approvals. A lot of companies use third-party data furnishing for pre-approvals. So if you are in the process of applying for funding, you might want to consider opting back in or unfreezing those third parties as long as they're nice and clean. Again, request a copy directly from that company and dispute that information just like you would with the 3 other major credit bureaus. Number 5 is challenge items under Section 623 of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The reason being is if you contact the original creditor with Section 623, a dispute letter, and you can simply take that section and pop it into ChatGPT and have them do all the thinking for you. That's the beauty of AI now, right? And require them to validate the debt. How did they get this information? How did they validate that it was correct? How did they validate that it belongs to you? If they cannot validate or prove it, they have to what? Remove it. it. Say it with me now. If they can't prove it, they got to remove it. And that is a very simple process. That's the debt validation process. And some people might think, oh, well, God, that's common sense. Well, of course, right? But sometimes it's not so common. I would have never known to go through that process. And a lot of us are just simply not taught this information. But with AI now, you can simply just pop the law in there and say, hey, ChatGPT, write me a debt validation letter to the credit bureaus using FCRA section 623, and it'll do all the work for you. Number 6 is you can dispute obsolete or unverifiable items on your credit report. Now, the number one thing that you have to consider here is a lot of things are connected to you based on your name and your address, and actually just the first couple letters and combinations of such. So if you are a senior or junior, or you have a similar name and address to somebody else, your information can easily get mixed up with somebody else. A lot of times they don't validate your social security number. They just verify, hey, is this the correct name? Does this name and address match? And that's why it's so important for you to update and correct and remove any old addresses on your credit report. You only want one correct name spelling. You want one correct address, and you want all previous addresses removed from your credit report. Because if for some reason something does pop up, if that address is there, they could potentially verify that it belongs to you just based on that old address. And inside of the series, I show you the Experian backdoor method for you to be able to log into Experian and see what they have on file and get that cleaned up as far as personal information goes right online, which is super easy. And a lot of this information that the Experian backdoor method shows you is not on your credit reports, which is crazy, right? So you definitely want to check that out, follow the steps to do that and get all that information cleaned up. Number 7 is arbitration to debt buyers. So you can also take collection agencies and third-party junk debt buyers or even debt collectors to arbitration because of the damages that they've caused to your credit. If for some reason you have disputed it with the collection agency, they are supposed to mark the account as disputed on the credit reports, and many fail to do so, which is a violation of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. They must mark the account as disputed. If they fail to do so, that is a violation. And all that you would need to do is simply take a copy of your credit report, and if you're using Smart Credit, which I recommend, there is a link in the description so that way you can get your 3-bureau credit report with Smart Credit and analyze what each credit bureau has on file for you to be able to get those discrepancies outlined very quickly. Now, you take a copy of, say, this month and then next month, and you say, hey, I disputed it. Here's the proof that I disputed it. I also called them. Here's the proof of call that I have. You're building a case. We need the paper trail. We need the receipts, okay? Get those receipts as if your man was cheating on you or your woman was cheating on you. You need to document the process, all right? And build a case so we can get paid, all right? That's how you get the big money. But you can take them through the arbitration process, and again, $1,000 per violation plus damages. What are your damages? Okay, I can't tell you. They might be millions, they might be a few hundred thousands. I just don't know. What type of deals did you lose from them doing this? Were you denied housing because of this? So I recommend applying for credit while that thing's on your credit to show that you've been denied. That's damages. I'm having to visit a therapist. I'm so stressed out. Oh Lord, what do I do? Here's my doctor's note. There's a lot of damages that could potentially happen. Stress, all that good stuff. And, oftentimes debt buyers are not able to provide you with the, purchase agreement. They're not able to validate the contract that they have because they usually buy debt on a spreadsheet, and therefore not able to properly validate it as per the law. So leverage the law to your advantage. You just have to be knowledgeable, because again, this information, it's not taught in high school. It's not taught in college. It's exclusively on YouTube University, baby. Number 8 is leveraging state-specific consumer laws. So every state has different laws that consumers can take advantage of. I'm here in California, and we have a lot of consumer laws that can actually help us get results a lot quicker, which, is great for us. Even though, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is currently, I guess, under the weather or under reconstruction. Who knows what's to come of that? We're not going to allow that to get in our way. There is arbitration. There is the Attorney General. There is the Better Business Bureau. You can still make complaints with them and definitely go through the arbitration process to let them know you are not playing with them. But definitely ask them, based on the consumer law, block this information from my credit report, because they are not able to validate it. It is unverified and it is undeniably not mine. Number 9 is what we were just talking about, is filing a complaint with the CFPB, which again is currently under reconstruction, or the Better Business Bureau, and escalating those complaints to a higher authority. Now, unfortunately, the Better Business Bureau is not a government agency, but they've been around forever and nobody wants bad reviews with the BBB. You can head over to their website, bbb.org, Better Business Bureau, or just simply Google them and get a complaint going against TransUnion, get a complaint going against Experian or against Equifax, and you can also make complaints against debt collectors, third-party collection agencies. And if you even go and look at some of the complaints against some of these companies, you can see the type of complaints that they are getting. And if your complaint is similar, hey, just piggyback off what people are already getting results from. Utilize AI to write out your complaint, but I always like to get a little bit of inspiration from previous complaints, especially if they're relatable to mine. You can write a collection agency a cease and desist letter saying, hey, I ask you to stop calling me and harassing me. You have called me too many times. I'm at work. But that's another way to get them on a huge lawsuit. Now, if you don't know, we have an entire video on this inside of the credit community under our classroom section. I have guest speakers that come on all the time. Number 10 is a cease and desist letter. Now, sometimes you might want to try this method, and sometimes you might want to go directly to trying to catch the collection agency in a violation so you can get paid. Now, for those of you that just don't want to be bothered, you want to send them a cease and desist letter and say, hey, quit calling me, quit contacting me. The only way that you can contact me is in writing via USPS mail. And I am demanding that you validate this alleged debt that you're reporting. I have already caught you in several violations of the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. However, I am asking you to validate this alleged debt by providing me with the contract, which in your case is going to be the purchase agreement. I am demanding that you send me your purchase agreement. A lot of times they're not going to have that, okay? And the terms of that purchase agreement are not going to be valid. So a lot of times you're going to just win simply with that. Now, if you want to get more technical and be able to sue these collection agencies, we have an entire class inside of the community. I had Vance Dotson come on and talk about how he sues collection agencies and how he has even sued for over $1 million. He's won over $1 million in lawsuits by suing debt collection companies. All right, that's his specialty. He sues debt collectors and he's really good at it. He's been doing it for a long time and he can show you exactly what you need to record to get a case. Start building your case, start documenting it. All right. If you have a separate cell phone, you record yourself every time they call. You record yourself saying, hey, I'm sorry, it's not a good time. I'm at work right now. And that's all you have to say. It's not a good time. I'm at work right now. If they continue to call you and harass you, those are huge violations. And I've broke down all of those different violations and how to pinpoint those. A lot of it's inside of the community. Some of it's inside of this series. Ultimately, you want to join the community because you're going to get a lot more of the videos and the classes from some of our guest speakers like Vance, who really went into detail on how he's able to make these lawsuits happen and win lawsuits in state and federal court for big bucks. He does not go through arbitration. So, he's more of a state and federal court type of litigation, which, hey, if it works, by all means, obviously it's working because he gets amazing results for his clients. Okay. But you can certainly try the cease and desist if that's the route that you want to go, or if you want to try to sue these collection agencies or sue the credit bureaus, you can also go that route and you're going to get things blocked by suing them. You're also going to make some money. If you can outline the violations and prove them, you've got a case, my friend. Number 11. Now, this is what everyone is using right now, and I am not a fan of it. I do not agree with it or condone it unless it is truly applicable to your situation. And this is the TransUnion hack that a lot of people are talking about. And all that it is a trafficking block. So part of the FCRA law under 611, and it is 1681 C3. And this is adverse information in cases of trafficking. And this can be, any sort of trafficking case. If your identity was used in a trafficking case, you can get these items blocked from your credit. Just like if you were a victim of identity theft and trafficking blocks are supposed to be done within 4 business days, okay? And that's why people are getting results so fast. Like, oh my God, you got this deleted from my credit. Well, if you don't want that to be a part of your credit profile, that you were a victim of trafficking, I highly recommend that you fix your own credit, because this is what a lot of people are actually doing right now, which again, I don't condone, I don't recommend, unless of course this shoe truly fits. I hate to say it that way, but if you were a victim, unfortunately, my heart goes out to you, but this is a way that you can actually, get relief from this, fraud and, trauma that you went through, especially if they made you use your credit or, did things with your identity against your will. And there is an entire section inside of this series that goes over trafficking, the addresses, the contact information that you're going to need, because it's not just your typical dispute, and it's all inside of the guide. And I've left a link to purchase the guide down below. Number 12 is a victim of a data breach. Now, data breaches are happening more and more frequently. The most recent one was actually last year. There were several data breaches from medical companies. AT&T, Equifax had a data breach. If you guys got a check from that, it was nice. I got a big old check from them in regards to that data breach. Always check your email, and if you're a part of a class action, fill that information out, because I always get random checks from these things, because we never know if we're involved in these data breaches until we get those emails saying, oh, you're part of this class action lawsuit, so be mindful of those. But if you were a victim of a data breach, definitely leverage that to your advantage. I'm not saying, this is going to be your get out of jail free card, but in so many words, learn from your mistakes and move forward. Credit is a powerful tool, but it's not to be used and abused. It's to be used properly. It's to be leveraged so you can build wealth long term. Credit is not about running off on the banks with a $20,000 credit card or running up a $20,000 credit card and not paying it back. That's a drop in the bucket for these banks. And honestly, it's a test. You got to learn the game of credit. If you learn how to play it, you will be able to sustain long-term wealth. If you continue to mess up and fail, you're not going to get to the next level. level. So you have to understand, in order for you to win the game, there's levels to this shit, all right? And I hate to say it like that, but it's so true. And that's why it's so important to start peeling back all of these layers and start playing so you can level up. And if you haven't by now, make sure that you've joined the credit community. Watch all of these videos inside of this 25-part credit repair secrets playlist, because I'm telling you guys, there are some major game in there for you guys to level up and get to that next level, guys. Make sure to watch the video coming up next. I'll see you next time.